covered her with his body so that Kate could not see her. Before help arrived, Michelet died. The police came to Vernon's home to interview him about the shooting. Vernon cooperated. He told police that he was in the car with Daryl and Sean when the drive-by shooting occurred. He ended up testifying at trial and was granted immunity in exchange for his testimony. Sean, also known as Cowboy from the 1180 East Coast Crips, was convicted of first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. Sean smirked when Katie Jones asked why did he do it. He was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms. APB has also had beef with the Pocket Hood Crips. On March 10th, 2000, the Pocket Hood Crips slid on Athens and left David with a bullet in his body. After being shot, David asked a fellow gang member named Ron to help him retrieve a gun. The next day, David, Ron, picked up a .48 caliber handgun and some bullets for K-Down's .38. The 3 men then went to Wilmington Street in Compton. LaToya and Thornell were walking on Wilmington near 132nd Street. Ron pulled up to the side of them and David yelled out, "Hey, fuck crash!" David and K-Down fired a total of 5 shots at LaToya and Thornell. LaToya was seriously injured and Thornell was killed. After the shooting, a witness provided a partial license plate number and description of the shooter's car. The next morning, the police detained and arrested Ron Johnson. Ron Johnson, from Athens, was convicted of second-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder. He was sentenced to 90 years to life. On June 23rd, 2000, at around 8 p.m., as the sun was setting, a large group of young men were gathered in a parking lot of Athens Park. That day, Athens Park was packed with kids on bikes, men playing basketball, mothers pushing strollers, and couples walking under trees. A white SUV then pulled into the parking lot right next to the group. Suddenly, a hail of gunfire erupted. Parkgoers dove for cover. Children jumped off their bikes and scampered into nearby houses. When the gunfire stopped, there were 9 young men collapsed on the ground with bullets in their body. The white SUV then drove away with 2 assault rifles poking out its windows, aimed back at people in the crowd. 7 of the 9 men hit were members of the Athens Park Bloods. One of the 9 men shot died from his injuries. His name was Melvin Williams. He was a father. His son Melvin Williams Jr., also known as Melly, followed in his footsteps. He also became an Athens Park Blood, but he was different. He was a student athlete with a passion for football and rapping. He was good friends with the rapper RJ, who was also from Athens. He graduated from Tabor College in 2019 before heading to Germany, where he played professional football until the pandemic started. While waiting to return, he came back to Los Angeles to be around his family and friends. On July 23rd, 2021, Melly had just arrived at his home in Gardena. Before he could make it inside, he was shot down. Allegedly, he was followed by some unknown assailants, and they had been waiting for him outside his home. The murder has gone unsolved, but people are speculating that it could have been rivals. Others are saying that he could have been backdoored. He had a promising future that was cut short. He was only 26 years old. The Athens Park Bloods are the main rivals of the Raymond Avenue Crips. On August 15, 2010, at around 12:45 p.m., Christopher and Arnold, who were from Athens, entered the territory of the Raymond Avenue Crips, armed with handguns. There they spotted a group of black males outside of a residence. Christopher then shot a shotgun crib, then opened fire on the individuals. Christopher was accidentally shot by Arnold as he aimed at the rival gang members. A sheriff deputy received a call in response to the hospital. At the hospital, the sheriff searched Arnold for weapons and asked him what happened. Christopher died at the hospital. A Los Angeles County coroner conducted an autopsy and determined Christopher's cause of death was bleeding, caused by a single bullet to the back. The direction of the bullet was back to front, right to left, and top to bottom. Authorities believe Christopher shouted out the name of another gang because that would misdirect retaliation, throw off police investigation, and cause fighting amongst enemies. The Raymond Avenue Crips had rivalries with both Athens and the Shotgun Crips. Arnold was ultimately found guilty of second-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. He was sentenced to 70 years to life. As previously stated, the Athens and Miller Gangsta Bloods have a close alliance that goes back decades. They are synonymous, as many members claim both sets. LA rapper Earl Swavey was a member of the Miller Gangsta Bloods. On January 9th, 2022, at around 10:40 p.m., the 190 East Coast Crips were having a hood day party at a warehouse near 35th and Hill. Earl managed to get the location. Him and a few gang members got in a car and headed up to the party. There was a large crowd outside of the warehouse when they pulled up. Allegedly, Earl exited his vehicle, approached the party, and fired into the crowd. As Earl was running back to his car, someone returned fire and struck him. 5 people were shot. Earl got into the car and drove away from the scene. Shortly after, he lost control of his vehicle and crashed into the back of a truck. He was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Police said it appeared that he was the only person inside the vehicle. However, there may have been other passengers who got out of the vehicle and left him for dead. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Vaping can deliver toxic metals like nickel and lead into your lungs. That's metal in your lungs. Welcome back to another episode of Warren Cali. In this episode, I'm going to talk about an Oakland legend, a real town boss, Felix the Cat Mitchell. Felix was born on August 23rd, 1954 in Oakland, and was raised in the notorious San Antonio Village housing project in East Oakland, which has now been torn down and remodeled. In the 60s and the early 70s, Oakland streets had more structure, with the Panthers having a big influence in the African-American communities. They kept dealers out the streets and also promoted a lot of peace, having different programs for kids and also for adults. But by the mid-70s, they were disbanded. The Panthers policed their own communities, but with them not being around, a lot changed, causing more violence and less structure. In the 70s, Felix Mitchell would get his start in the streets. He first started off selling smack as a teenager, and after a few years, he dropped out of high school and jumped headfirst into the streets. After a few years, Felix would start to rise in the game and become a young boss. Him and the crew he grew up with made the 6ix9ine Mob. From then it was on. Felix and the 6ix9ine Mob flooded their project. Felix ran his projects like he was Nino Brown. It is said the movie New Jack City could be based off him.
I'll be first place.
Felix ran a tight ship and wasn't just letting anybody come inside the projects or the mob's turf. You had to be from the hood, be a resident, or be a fiend. Felix even had kids as lookouts for cops and enemies. Like I said, he was really on point. But being a boss of his stature, you would have to. As Felix was pushing work all through his community, many people would say he tore his community down. But a lot would also say he helped a lot, giving back to a lot of families and giving back to the kids. Over the years, Felix's money started to rise. I mean, on another level. He let it show getting luxury cars like Rolls Royces, Ferraris, even buying luxury homes throughout the Bay and LA. You know, with all this money, Brett had all the little dots back in the day. Felix's business booming, he connected and expanded all over, going to other cities and also other states. I mean, this dude was getting millions, even with Felix living a lavish lifestyle, making all that money, and having all the little thotties. He wasn't off limits. It wasn't immune to beef. He had some heavy opposition with dudes like Funktown Hard,
Definitely gonna win no goddamn racism. That's over. I would have crashed there, it would have been over.
And Mickey Moore of the Family, who was an R&B singer, then turned dealer. He probably was like Lamar from BMF singing You Can't Stop the Rain. But these dudes were serious and also about their business, and they didn't mind going to war. Felix and his crew wasn't backing down. The 6ix9ine mob and the Family would be in a back and forth war, with bodies being dropped on both sides. This would call police attention and prompted several investigations. All this occurred in 1980. August of 80 was called Bloody August. 3 associates of the Family was popped up by the 6ix9ine mob. This was well known, and actually the 6ix9ine mob was bragging about it. This led to more bodies dropping, and Oakland police beginning to crack down. In 1983, it was 2,000 more arrests compared to 1982. After years of investigation, by 1985, police had enough evidence to arrest Felix, and his charges were tax evasion, continuing criminal enterprise, and conspiracy. By June of 1985, Felix was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
You tripping? Fuck! Let's stack your money, you know what I'm saying? What's the guitar go at? Now look at this. It's real simple. I'm gonna give you total creative control of it, man. Bitch ass nigga.
Some of Felix's crew will be taken down as well. Also, Mickey Moore, Felix's rival and his crew also got arrested. Oakland PD thought sentencing Felix to life was going to help the community, but it actually made it worse. It made less structure and created more of a fight of who was going to take over the streets next, causing more violence and bodies being dropped. Felix was sent to Leavenworth Prison in Leavenworth, Kansas to do his life sentence, but in 1986, he was stabbed, taking his life just a few days shy of his birthday. Felix's funeral was held on August 29th of 1986. Let's just say the hood showed up and showed out. They sent him home like a real G, and the boss he was. People flooded the streets, and foreign cars and limousines were all over the roads. Police even attended the funeral. The police watched his funeral from the sideline in the Ferrari that he had. They seized it in the raid and also brought it to the funeral as they watched his crew and seeing who was going to be next in charge. Little D, Felix's son's cousin, began to make a big name for himself shortly after, continuing the family business. Little D also lived a lavish lifestyle and had many connections, even dealing with LA legends like Rick Ross. But by 1988, Little D was arrested and sentenced, and the streets got even crazier. Little D is now free after doing 28 years. He was even pardoned by Obama. Mickey Moore, the leader of the family, and Felix's ex-rival, got out of jail and became a pastor. He even put out his own book. Felix Mitchell isn't alive anymore, but he left his mark in Oakland, and he still gets talked about today and heavily mentioned in circles around the world. Felix was a street legend, and this was his story. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and drop a comment and let me know what you want to see next. Don't forget to subscribe.
Prices keep going up. Bad policies helped cause this crisis, and better ones can fix it. Let's end wasteful spending, unleash energy abundance, and ignite innovation. Join us at thetruecostofwashington.com.
Is your roof over 7 years old? You may qualify to get a new metal roof installed on your home. Click the link below now to see if you qualify. Don't wait. Installations are being scheduled on a first-come, first-served basis.
How's the Bugsy? Everyone just wants the bathroom window. Space, man. And they all in my fucking room, man. I got a screen on my fucking window, man.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the war between MS-13 and 18th Street. 18th Street is a predominantly Hispanic American gang located in Los Angeles, California. They originated in the 1960s in the Pico Union District near 18th and Union Avenue. 18th Street was initially established because the gang known as Clan 14 only recruited and admitted Mexican Americans in their gang. Clan 14 selective membership led to the creation of the 18th Street gang.
That's crazy.
18th Street's territory historically is composed of 5 main neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Within each neighborhood, there are specific names to distinguish the different groups, as well as cliques. Prospects are initiated into the gang 15 seconds, or partaking in some type of illegal activity designated by a current member. The 18th Street gang remains predominantly composed of men. The women who join the gang have 3 avenues to do so. An 18-second being sexual intercourse with multiple members, or being a girlfriend or wife of a member could potentially lead to membership over time. 18's reach has extended out of Los Angeles to cities and suburbs throughout the U.S. 18 has a presence in numerous states within the U.S., including Florida, New York, Hawaii, Pennsylvania. It is estimated that 18 has approximately 30 to 50,000 members in the U.S. alone. Additionally, outside the U.S., 18th Street has a presence in El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Spain, and Mexico. Mata Salvatrucha, also known as MS-13, is a primarily Salvadorian gang, also located in Los Angeles, California. They originated in the 1980s when Salvadorian refugees escaping the Civil War settled in the Westlake, Pico Union, and Rampart districts just west of downtown Los Angeles. In these neighborhoods, which are among the poorest and most crowded in the city, the already established Mexican gangs will bully and extort the newly arrived Salvadorians. In order to protect themselves, Salvadorian teenagers who had a common interest in heavy metal music banded together into stoner groups. In time, the groups coalesced into a single gang, Mata Salvatrucha. Over time, MS-13 members got involved into drug dealing and turned violence into their specialty. Many of the MS members were teenage veterans of the Civil War and were already hardened and battle-tested.
¿De invitación o algo? No. Como turista. Ella es turista de papá. usted no está viajando a ver a su papá, sino va como turismo y de por ahí va a ir a visitar al papá. Ok, ya, venga por aquí, por favor.
Agents now transfer the suspect for a luggage inspection.
¿Dónde embalaron la maleta? Afuera. Afuera. Sí, creo que iba a ¿La maleta dónde la compró? ¿Cuántos años tienes? 23.
Suitcase. But the police still find the passenger suspicious.
¿Quién te compró el pasaje?
Mi tío.
Tu tío.
Mi tío le mandó
A tu suegra. Ah, ok.
Me dijiste que te la había comprado mi papá. Sí, mi papá también está ahí. Tengo familia. No, no tengo ni problema.
They've caught her lying, and contraband may follow. So they dismantle the suitcase.
¿Vas a salir una infección? Sí, normal, señorita.
The walls of the bag are unusually hard. While an officer works to insert a probe, others continue the interrogation.
¿Viniste con alguien más? No, que le digo de
Finally, they break through. Now, the narco test.
Mire, ahí está. Azul, positivo para drogas. Positivo para drogas. Esta coloración azul turquesa nos da el indicativo para caloide de cocaína. Usted está transportando drogas. Usted está transportando drogas.
Proudly celebrates Americans of Asian, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander heritage.
We know who we are, where we come from, and where we belong.
This is the story of how we lived, how we survived for thousands of years.
We're still maintaining our culture and we're fighting for it, generation after generation.
It's important to pass these skills on.
We make it work out here. Something very beautiful about it.
There is no pecan chicken salad sandwich quite like this one. Nope. This Arby's made-to-order masterpiece can't be topped, except very literally by honey wheat bread. Arby's, we have the meat.
Steps on the beach count just as much as normal steps. And they just lead somewhere better. Corona Premier. Lower carbs, lower calories. Is your light beer Premier?
You inspired the Lexus ES to be, well, more you. So thank you. We hope you like your work.
Sure, you'll teach her to drive a car. Then use Greenlight and teach her to save up for her own car. Mowing lawns and getting paid. Navigate the world of earning, saving, and investing together. Invest in your best investment. Greenlight.
I've always been prone to hair thinning.
I was under a lot of stress. I was getting older.
I started taking
1,000 members in the U.S., with the majority of them being in Los Angeles, Long Island, New York, and the DMV. An anti-gang crackdown in the late 1990s saw hundreds of early members deported back to Central America, where they established offshoots. They are now estimated to have at least 60,000 MS-13 members in Central America. In the beginning, MS-13 and 18th Street were relatively cool with each other. In the 80s, allegedly an MS-13 member named Shaggy got into a physical altercation with an 18th Streeter at a party, allegedly over a female. The 18th Streeter went and got a Uzi and allegedly ended up killing Shaggy. They have been at war ever since. In April of 2013, MS-13 operated at least 6 casitas in Los Angeles, 4 of which were located in the Pico Union District. A casita, which means little house in Spanish, is an apartment or house used to elicit drug and alcohol sales, gambling, and sex work.